Order. Please rise for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll, please.
Mr. Coley?
Here.
Trustee Myson?
Here.
Trustee Rickles?
Here.
Trustee Chandler?
He's running late.
Trustee Pridemore? She's going to be absent. She'll notify me via email. Trustee Gizia?
Here.
President Gilbert?
Here.
Attorney Addis?
Mr. Addis is here.
Attorney Jim McGrath, thank
I'm sorry,
you. Jim McGrath, MC, capital G-R-A-I-L. Mr. Addis is here as well.
I am here.
Treasurer Lizette? Here.
Approval of agenda. I would like to add one item that I somehow kept forgetting to add. And we'll make it F under President's items in its engineering service.
That's under which section?
My section, President.
I'd like to do a couple adds too. I apologize, but they're short, no action requested. I guess it'd be under, they could both go under new business, I guess. Code enforcement as one of them.
D.
Yeah, it's kind of directed toward one particular action section of what I might touch on in a moment, and then striping of the streets would be another section. One particular focus.
I would also like to add the item F under new business, update on MDOT intersections for New Haven and Gratiot, and New Haven and 26 Mile. Just discussion.
Any others? Motion's in order.
Make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been probably moved and supported that we accept the agenda as presented.
Presented or amended? Amended, I apologize.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment on the agenda. Seeing none. Approval of minutes, June meeting.
I did want to make one request. It is noted on there, and I do appreciate that, but the section at the very end under calls from the table, there's a section about my remarks,
What page is that?
8 or 9 on the pages of this. It's like the last page, it's the second last page. I just missed it.
10.
10. Well, it's on page 10, but I'd like to move it up to page 7, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, up to page 7, it would be, I'd like to move those comments under unfinished business, A2. Because actually I reviewed the video and that's actually when I said that statement. This is in reference to the facility that the property owner was presented with.
What's the pleasure? You've heard the request?
I
recommend as requested.
Second.
It's been properly moved and supported that we move the one item on the minutes
And to approve the minutes?
and to approve the minutes as a whole. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consent agenda.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and supported that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Mr. McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Rivercall?
Yes.
Mr. Meisner?
Yes.
Mr. Chandler?
Yes.
Mr. Easiak?
Yes.
President Hilbert?
Yes. President items. Before we get to the firemen, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome the New Haven High School varsity girls softball team. There she is. And their coach, Samantha Wild, and assistant, you guys call him Gary and whatnot, I call him Mitch. Girls, could you please come up? The Rocket girls had what we know to be fact as probably their most successful season in about 25 years. They won their league, the district, and unfortunately got taken out in the region. But as we honored our boys for winning the state title, I think we owe our girls a thank you for bringing softball back to the village and back to the school district. Good job, girls. Say something?
I appreciate you inviting us. This was very nice. Obviously, it's very hard to get all the girls here during the summer. A lot of them are playing summer ball, so they're with their teams or working or whatnot. But thank you very much, and we really appreciate it. They worked hard all season, so that's.
Good luck next year.
Thank you.
Chief, come up. Come on up.
Well, tonight we're here to present some longevity awards to some of our people. And I have a 12-page letter here I'd like to read to the council, but relax, I'm just kidding. But I know most of you know the history of the New Haven Fire Department. It's been around since 1880. We used to service much more than just the village. Now we service the village and we also go to mutual aid to other areas. The people that serve this community are people just like you and me. They have jobs, they have families. Some of them have softball stars. Yet they take time out of their busy schedule to help their neighbor. So we've started this, some departments already do this, and we unfortunately haven't done this in the past, but we're going to be doing it from now on. Every 5 years that somebody serves with the fire department, they get a star that they get to wear on their uniform. So I'm going to make this as short as possible because I know you guys are busy. But we're going to give them an award, we're going to give them their stars, and we're going to give them a thank you. So the first one, unfortunately, is not here, but his wife and daughter are because they were also here with the ball team. So I need Mrs. McGee to come up here. Kathy, would you come up here, please? You know what? You know, I was going to pretend it's fine. Dave McGee's been with, we're giving him a 5-year pin. The increment's a 5. He's been here more than 5 years, but he's getting his 5-year pin, which we did not give him when he got 5 years because we didn't have this program until today. But Dave can't be with us because he's also our scout leader. We have a Boy Scout troop that's sponsored by the fire department. Dave's the leader of it. He's not the scout master, but he's the nucleus that makes it happen. They're camping somewhere, and I think they got wet already, didn't they? But it's because he couldn't be here, I want to make sure that somebody got. So for 5 years of service for Dave McGee, thank you, and thank you for supporting him, because without you, we wouldn't have it. He gets to wear that on his uniform. I won't keep repeating it, but bear in mind, some of them have more than the years that we're giving them, but they're not to the next step yet. Jacob Kling, would you please step forward, firefighter Kling? For 5 years, this is your 5-year award. You get a star to wear on your thing. Thank you for your service. The next 5-year award is for James Drink. Would you please step up? Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you. The next one is a 10-year service award for Sergeant William Goward. Will you please come forward? I'm sorry, Lieutenant Goward. I keep promoting him, I keep forgetting who he is. But besides that, I'm on the hot seat up here. Maybe I was going to be demoted by you. The next one is actually a sergeant. Sergeant Josh Guerrero, would you please step forward? Josh has 10 years of service. He's a paramedic. He's also a firefighter in Fraser. And we appreciate the fact that he's staying here and helping the people that he's grown up with. Sergeant Bill Maselli has 10 years in service, and we'd like him to step forward, please. I think you'll recognize that. Ashley Snyder is one of our MFR, and she's also a registered nurse, and she's been on the department for 10 years, and I'm going to give that to her husband so that she couldn't be here because she's working. The next one I'm proud to present to my assistant chief, Dan Steer, the 10 years of service. He actually has a little more than that, like I said, but give yourself a hand. Josh Woodruff, would you please step up here? Josh also has been with the department over 10 years, and we appreciate everything he does. He's our, we break it, he fixes it kind of guy. He does a lot of metal work for us. He made the base for the piece of the trade center that we have over there. He made the bottom base for it, so he's very handy. Mr. Wagner, did he make it? No? No. Derek Wagner has been with the department over 15 years, and we will give his to him. He's also our safety officer. Cindy Brzee, please come up. She's a paramedic, a firefighter, and also my best friend. That's not sexual harassment. Then there's me.
And I'll do this one. Chief Brzee, been around a long time. 20 years with New Haven, and then many other years elsewhere with customs and in the base. Chief?
Thank you. And now I'm going to read the 12-page letter. No, I'm just kidding. Still. We appreciate you letting us toot our own horn. We don't do that often. These guys are the best people I've ever worked with. They care about this community more than any people I've ever seen. We've got one more, but we were waiting for the wife. But we're good. She's here. Good. Mike Nanger has only been with us a short time, but he's a paramedic. He's a supervisor at MedStar Ambulance. He just went through fire school. every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Saturday for, what was this the total amount?
Yeah.
295 hours of his time, his family let him do, so that he can be a firefighter in this community. He lives just outside the community here a little ways, but he's always quick to get here. He's always very efficient. Brings a lot of background, a lot of knowledge, and we're really glad to have him. Now, this one is a little different. He doesn't get an award for the, oh, you got it, I'm sorry. He doesn't get an award for being here for a year. But what he does get is, he gets his badge. Come forward, please, Mike. Have your wife come forward too. You get to stand here. He's earned his fire badge. And we also have his dad, him, and some other people all had 22 in different hockey, firefighting, and so on and so on. So we're presenting him with badge number 22 and a helmet number 22. Please stab him. I mean, please see if we can get it in there. You can reach it in. We'll take it right. And I think that's about it, unless my assistant has anything else that he wants to bring up. No? Thank you for your time. And as soon as Mike's done here, we'll get out of your way.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Clark Street. Last month, we talked about paving, refinishing Clark Street, and there was some confusion over the available funds. I think we clarified that confusion. The treasurer sent out a fund balance report this month, and I thought I was somewhere in the neighborhood, 1.5, and I think it's closer to 1.6 in the local and major street fund. And I'm going to invite Sumit Safe up to the podium. Sumit's the engineer, and later on in the agenda, I hope also approve Sumit for hiring as our new village engineer. He's currently working on a couple projects. I think he's on a project with Dan, the state route to school that he's been involved in, and a few other things. But he's going to kind of explain the Clark Street rebuild, the section between the tracks and Haven Ridge.
Thank you, President Dilbert. Good evening. My name is Sumit Safe. I'm the engineer for Lennox Township, been the engineer over there for 20 years. I've been around the area. I know pretty much how everything involved in here. And we're here tonight just to offer our assistance to the village. Hopefully we can work with you on a long-term basis. The topic at hand, Clark Street pavement. I visited the site, looked at the pavement condition. It rates between 1 and 2 Hazer rating, which means it's failing. I believe it's the oldest segment in the village, and it needs a replacement badly. It's about 940 feet in length, 2-lane road from Haven Ridge to the railroad tracks. And also there's a segment of 500 feet of sidewalk we looked at on the south side, just connecting the last house on Clark Street, going east, passing the railroad tracks and connecting to Victoria Street sidewalk. There are 2 options that we can do this. We can completely replace the pavement, which I think the cost that we estimated is about $280. That's full depth replacement of the asphalt and the aggregate, and doing some drainage work along both sides of the street, and also connecting that sidewalk. There's another option, it's a cheaper option, which is basically if the base is good, we can take the existing asphalt off, mill it, and just put in a fresh layer of asphalt. That does not last as the full replacement, and if there are any reflective cracking coming up from the subbase, we're going to experience that immediately, maybe in 4 or 5 years. but that's just an option that the village can look into. And I think that one is about 100 grand less. So 180 versus 280. Those are the two options that we looked at for Clark Street pavement. So I'll take any questions if you guys have it.
We had made comment, first part of the year, based on our Pager rating studies, that we would put in place an annual street replacement. We don't want to wait till everything totally fails before we start doing something with money in those funds. So we need to pick a project, one or two every year, and let's get them done.
Question, where were the boundaries where you hoping to get it done from?
Haven Ridge, and then going east along Clark Street to the railroad tracks. The tracks are being freshly paved, I think, in the last couple of years, so we're going to stop at that joint. We don't have to cross with the road pavement. For the sidewalk, we do have 500 feet crossing the railroad tracks and connecting to Victoria Street on the west side. So they'll be crossing to that existing sidewalk on the east side,
On the south side of it?
south side of Clark Street.
The sidewalk, because of the tracks, and correct me if I'm wrong, Smith, getting permission from Grand Trunk to actually put the sidewalk across the track could be a timely, so we may just bring the sidewalk up to that point and stop and wait until we get out permits from Grand Trunk.
Yeah, I did try to call them almost 3 times. They didn't go anywhere.
Any sidewalk going over the track, would there have to be signage or any kinds of markings we'd have to put in place?
Yeah, normal treatment, you know, so many feet away and some signage, and of course that arm when it swings down, of course you want to stay away from that. That's if we have the real estate and the railroad allow us to do that. If not, then we have to hug the road and it'll be very close. We have to work with whatever we got. If we get an easement and they agree to it, it would be great. If not, then we have to work something out. There's also a very deep ditch on the west side that we have to cross. We have to put some culvert treatment on the southwest corner for that sidewalk to go across.
So what we're seeking tonight is council approval for Submit to finalize the drawings, and then we will post it on Mittens and get bids, for the project. But I think one of the things that's a determining factor, you were telling me about some soil boring that would need to be done to help determine whether we do the lesser of the 2 projects.
Yes, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to core holes in the existing pavement, find out what kind of base we have. If it's good enough, we'll just do the overlay. We'll take the asphalt, the top layer, and then we'll put a fresh one in. And if there are any bad areas, we'll replace them. If the soil boring comes out really bad, then we have to go to the more expensive treatment, which is a full depth replacement. So until we do that investigation, we don't know which option we can go with. But if the board would like us to proceed and then make a recommendation back here before we proceed to the next option, we can do that too.
What's the life difference between the 2?
Half, 5 years and 10 years. Especially with Clark, I think the average daily traffic is about 2,400 a day. It's very heavily used.
I remember my question. I noticed that unless things have changed since 2013, I'm looking on Google Street View every year. When it's repaved, are we gonna bring it, I don't know if it's state standards or if it's required at this point, but most communities, especially the modern ones, they have an embankment of like 6 to 8 inches or something like that. Are we gonna, is that
Yes.
gonna be included?
We typically use the Road Commission, Macomb County Road Commission standards. I know you own your own roads, but I would still recommend Macomb County standards.
Yeah, sure. So it will have a little bit of a,
Yes, it'll have a shoulder and a ditch for drainage. And we're gonna look at both sides. I think the drainage is a problem with that road too. So we are gonna have to look at both sides of the road and see what treatment that we're gonna propose.
and what were the estimates again?
180 and 280, roughly. And this, again, this is conceptual right now without a survey, just going by length.
What did you call them, refer to them as overlay and,
Total replacement for the full depth and mill and overlay for the cheaper option.
Any other questions?
So the motion is to proceed with a core
Yes.
sample of
Yes.
the road? And you represent what firm?
Tri-County.
Tri-County Engineering, I'm sorry. I do have my qualification, but we're gonna go that under item F, I believe.
I should have flipped that.
I will distribute the qualification of my business card to the board.
you said you're gonna add sidewalks, are we gonna replace existing ones or?
Not at this point. I think the feedback that I received from President Dilbert and the DPW is we're going to keep the existing sidewalk, although it's 4 feet wide. I think it's not 5 feet wide. If the board would like us to replace it, we can. Obviously, it's going to add to the cost. There are segments that need to be rehabbed, but until we do the survey, we wouldn't know exactly the extent.
I imagine it'd be cheaper just to, if we were gonna do it, I'm not saying we are or not, but if we were gonna do it, it'd be cheaper to do it as part of a bigger project rather than come back a year later.
Absolutely. It'll be much cheaper to do it at one time. Yeah, normal standard sidewalk is 5 feet wide. The existing sidewalk is so old, I think it ranges between 3 and 4 feet.
But if we RFP that, you can bring us back the line items on,
Sure.
what do we want to do with the sidewalk, things like that. I mean, from my perspective, if we're going to rip it all out, make it look good, and maybe we can spend the money. But we'll see what it looks like based on our financial,
Absolutely.
status, so.
Let's proceed with the boring, the core sample that you need to do.
Okay.
And if we can get a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to proceed with the boring of Clark Street between Haven Ridge and the tracks.
Second.
Do we want to add that number?
Yeah, it's gonna come back.
Under F.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's already that.
Okay, good.
It's been probably moved and supported that Tri-County proceed with the boring samples on Clark Street, and we'll bring back their recommendation. And at the same time, we can also get a cost estimate for replacing all the sidewalks.
Okay.
Any questions on the motion?
What is the cost of the boring again?
We have 940. We probably want to get 3 or 4.
Dollar amount?
About 5 feet deep.
I think we were about $4,000.
$4,000 with the recommendations. We will solicit 3 bids at least from geotechnical firms, and I'll present it to President Dilbert and see which one we're going to like and proceed with. No, proceeded. do an alternate to add that, even during the bids. And see the contractors, if they're hungry, they'll give us even better price.
Well, my point of clarification was, do we just cap it at 4,000 here at this meeting right now? Or do you bring it back knowing that you cap it at 4,000, we go with the lowest bidder? Or do we bring it back and vote on it once he's got his 3 bids?
Why don't we cap it, because we're getting late in the summer right now, and we don't want to lose another month just to, award the bid. So why don't we cap it at 4?
Cap it at 4. We'll solicit the bids, present it. If there's an issue, we'll notify you. But I think it's a good estimate. If you want to be safe, make it 4,500 for the soil borings investigation.
4,500? We good with that?
If we go a little deeper.
Okay. Any other questions? What have we got under the motion?
We just added in there.
Yes.
Make a motion to authorize Tri-County to proceed with the boring of Clark Street between Haven Ridge and the tracks, capped at $4,500.
We still have support on that?
Support second.
Been probably moved and supported that Tri-County proceed with the boring of Clark Street, capped at a cost of $4,500. And we would hope that we can get this done and bring back the results and recommendation at the next meeting. That's going to be in August, and the plans close in November. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Tyson?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Trustee McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Trustee Giesecke?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ed. We'll see you in a few. Clearview. I think I had forwarded an email of an offer for the Clark Street property. Did everyone receive that? No, the email I forwarded.
The purchase agreement.
Yeah,
I think Jessica actually sent it directly to us.
yeah, we got that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. The actual offer.
Yeah.
We're in the process of getting a official appraisal on that property.
Which one, President?
I'm sorry.
I have it here, which is it? I have it here. Do you want a copy of it?
No, I have the offer,
Okay.
yeah. But we don't have an official appraisal. But we do we have just some of the history of the property. And I think that's what was at your place tonight. What the township assessor think it may be worth, what it was worth back in Kent. And I do know that the history of the property, that the village has approximately $600,000 invested in that property as a result of taxes that were owed, and the village had to pay to redeem the property was somewhere near $600,000, if I recall the history. I don't know what council's.
Can I ask a quick question?
Please do.
It was kind of rumored, it was kind of bounced around, so I don't know any confirmation on this. Are we legally allowed to make profit on the sale of this property because of how we acquired it and whatnot? And actually, could you elaborate if you know how we acquired it?
I used to sit against that wall back there, so. And I'm just trying to recall the whole bankruptcy, Pembroke, Amherst, and where the county reimbursed the village for taxes, and what do you call that process every year where the county gets it? Yes. And then Somehow we had to buy back the property because they couldn't sell it at auction or whatever. And so we had to reimburse the county, and I think the amount was somewhere in the neighborhood of $600,000.
So,
And I don't know if it was because of the value of the property at the time, because the property was being developed. I mean, that's when Amherst was being built, and so it may have had a much higher value back then.
do you know if we can make?
To answer your question, as far as legally, can you profit on it? Absolutely you can. And it's actually a very common practice for a lot of municipalities.
If not profit, I would certainly like to get something closer to what we have invested in. Unless there's a real aggressive development that's going to take place.
And how do you propose this? How do you propose we go about trying to do that?
Well, I guess the first thing we need to do is get a professional appraisal of the property, and that's what we're in the process of doing right now.
Exactly how many acres is that property?
47. I think there's a flag on it that goes actually into Amherst. I think it's 47 acres. It fronts on Clark Street, and then it goes down by the mailbox on,
Runs all the way along to the back of Amherst.
and
Yes, it snakes back and then there's like another field back.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can do anything until we get an appraisal and we find out exactly how much money we put in for that. Because it seems awfully high to reacquire that property
Yeah.
based on a rescinding.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall all the history of it, you know, like I said, but for some reason, the number 600,000 just seems to stick.
I mean, usually property taxes on vacant land is usually not as high as residential.
It's not that high.
But if it was already set with water and everything else.
Yeah.
I know it has electricity, because I can see the
It does
electric
have
box from
electricity?
my backyard.
Okay.
I can see the
So
big
that'll,
box.
that would change it a little bit.
Yeah, so some of the
Some of the utilities are right.
could be in place then that could, yeah, and I haven't walked the property. I know there's a driveway on Clark Street, that's all I know, there's a short drive on Clark Street. And I think I see at least one manhole that you can see in Clark Street. I don't know just how much, how much it's been developed.
So are we looking to make a motion just to get an appraisal?
The appraisal is in process already. So if you don't want to do anything until we get the appraisal, then we don't have to do anything.
Now, with this parcel, it was already platted by Lombardo for Amherst, correct? For any developer to come in, would we want them to would we require them to replat, or?
I think it would.
Or could we honor?
I'm not sure how the, what do you call those PUDs or whatever, those,
Vendor window?
yeah, I don't know how those all work, so that's something that we'll have to address. If that's someone that does want to come in, that they may have to, get it re-permitted and the whole bit.
But it's not currently zoned as multifamily.
Single family too.
Single family too.
Yeah.
Single family too.
My understanding is that that whole platting process, platting
Planning.
is pretty costly. If we were to uphold what Lombardo already did and filed and went with, that would make it more attractive.
But, let's get the appraisal, and then we will do some research and just see what the village has invested in this property. So we'll know exactly what we're talking about here. And then we'll bring it back to the office meeting. Item D. There was some questions that were being asked by the auditor, and Sandra was able to answer most of them. I think there's one or two that we don't have an answer for, and of course with Mr. Ryan Smith out of the picture right now, we hope it doesn't create a problem. But if it does, I guess my question to this board is, where do we find the answer?
Well, what are the questions? Because I might know the answer.
Well, then,
I've not been included in anything.
no, I asked you if you had any contact, and you just
And I
answered
answered
me.
you, and when I followed up with Yo-Yo today, they said that they actually had a meeting with Ryan Smith. A phone call scheduled on the 27th, I think he said.
Well, he's on vacation, I know, and because he's been terminated,
I know, when he responded and said that he had a phone call scheduled meeting with Ryan Smith
Yeah.
for after he comes back from vacation, I kind of went, what?
no, I think the conference was, the call was scheduled for today, because I talked to John Friday, I think it was, and he was leaving town, and he'll be back till the 24th.
He
And had
said, JR and I have a scheduled call for the week of 7/24 when he returns from vacation.
7/24? No, that's the wrong date, because he doesn't come back until 8/24. But he just left this weekend.
If somebody wants to include me, I can try and help.
Sandy, would you forward the questions, or can you two meet?
Mm-hmm. Be glad to.
Because I think we have most of the answers.
Okay.
They're quite simple, or they appear to be simple, but I think one ongoing question is the filing of the F-65 report.
Mm-hmm.
And are you capable of doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I thought Sandy was capable of that too.
Well, she's working on a lot of things.
I know.
And we had a conversation today that we're going to take some things off her plate so that she can concentrate more on the financial.
So, quick question before we move on, I'm sorry, but is it my understanding that at this time we're not going to entertain the notion of possibly bringing back Ryan Smith, or is that still on the table for consideration to be revisited later?
It can be revisited anytime. We were hoping to get all these audits completed, and we were making good progress on them. But I'm not saying that the progress has been stalled, but I'm sure it's been slowed. Because I think Sandy is she's ramping up, but we're still talking about things that were taking place, that were happening before she came aboard, that we're still trying to learn about.
Would we be able to hear from her?
She's sitting right there, that's why she's invited.
If it's okay.
Sure, please, ask the question.
Do you feel comfortable? Are you making progress? Are you able to, I know you have a lot on your plate, but is this something that you can't do?
Like you said, we're stalled. We're stalled right now. Problem is that the goal in the beginning was that we would get 13, 14, 14, 15, and 15, 16 done, and have all our journal entries done on the 16, 17 year. So with that said, the 17, 18, I have no beginning balances to start this fiscal year that we're in right now. So the goal was to get all that stuff taken care of, get all our adjustments in 16, 17, because we can't post anything because it's too old, and then move forward from there. 17, 18 is going to be pretty clean, but as I touch everything, I still find stuff that I need to take care of and fix and put steps in place and stuff like that, the way I've been telling you guys all along. I am constantly looking at the receivables, I'm looking at payables. The building department is not reporting some revenue that I need to look into, and why not, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that need to be taken care of, adjustments made, to go forward. So I'm trying to clean up the current stuff still, to make sure that we take care of that. I have not touched 15, 16 at all. The auditors are on 14, 15 right now. That's what we've been talking about with the audits, looking at everything right now. So the questions that they were asking was basically, one of the questions today that I was working on was water consumption. They wanted to have they wanted to know how much consumption we had in 13, 14, 14, 15. And Chris asked, well, why the heck are they going back? Well, they have to find some kind of measurement for reasonableness, basically what he's trying to do. He's trying to estimate, make sure that the numbers that we're showing in 1415 are reasonable for the water from Salem and that it's expensed on the books. So stuff like, those are some of the questions they're asking back and forth. My concern is, since this is such a, so old and stuff like that, and we had, like we said, was that water sewer thing that we had, the deficit plan we had, stuff like that, it's gonna have to be modified every time that GR gets started. Reporting is gonna be an issue, because there's gonna be adjustments back and forth and stuff like that. We're gonna have to remodify some of the financials and everything for each fiscal year and stuff like that, and refine them. Those things I'm not comfortable with. And that's where my concern is, and that's where I need some counseling and some support to be able to take care of that stuff. So that's my position right now. I'm afraid more of the reporting stuff, the day-to-day stuff, and the journal entries, and giving the auditors information. That's easy. There's going to be some management notes that we're going to have to all look at and answer for and figure out forward. But we still need some kind of assistance, outside assistance, to be able to take care of all these financial issues. Any questions? Did I answer what you need, Dan?
Thank you. For the management notes, sorry to add to the questions.
Okay.
For the management notes and the changes that need to be made that you're not comfortable with, is it possible that we could aggregate them all together and then bring in some outside person and then take care of it all at once?
Yeah.
The management questions don't happen until after the audit is complete.
Yeah, right.
So after the audit, they'll come and say, okay, these are the questions we need answered. So it's not anything that needs to be dealt with like right now.
Right. So, you know, if they're working on 1415 right now. So if they can complete 1415, we get the management questions, we can take care of it then. So we don't necessarily need somebody on a month-to-month basis on retainer. It'd be more at the end when they're finished with their audit to then take care of the management questions.
Right now, I don't have my counselor to talk to if I run into a problem. That's my issue right now. So if we can come up with some way to have, somebody on retainer, for me, have at least, be able to answer that question for me going forward, we can do that.
13, 14 is done, right?
13, 14 is done. 14, 15, and we have a movement on 15, 16.
And maybe this is a totally out in left field, but was there somebody in Lennox Township that maybe we could that we have a relationship with, that we could tap their shoulder and use as counsel? Just for some of the general questions?
I don't know their situation, so I can't answer that question.
Do we have that relationship with non-municipality?
Of course, we have a relationship with them, but they have outside auditors too, outside sources that they use there.
I think the Baltimore has outside auditor comes in twice a week. That's just, I think even you guys.
Our auditors are on call 24 hours a day. If we need them, they are there.
Yeah, see, so there's, it's pretty standard. Pretty standard. Well,
This is actually for the attorney. Just a point of clarification. Shareholder meetings where you can call in and you get a narration on the prospectus, whatever's happening with the company. Is it a violation of Open Meetings Act if all of us were on a phone call that we couldn't speak on, but rather people gave us information such as the accountants or the auditors? And like say President Dilbert led that conversation and it was basically a question and focus group back and forth?
It's really tough to answer legal questions in an abstract.
Yeah.
If I could have a specific set of facts, I could analyze it better.
Facts you mean in what the criteria would be that would be discussed on a phone call, or facts in how the format would happen?
I mean, generally, the Open Meeting Act says you can't make any decision or deliberation except in an open meeting. I guess I'm not entirely understanding the scenario you're presenting. I guess my thought process would be that there's a specific factual scenario that you're looking at, which That would probably be the best way to look at it.
So let me probably explain where I'm coming from a historic standpoint, and then maybe that might be more helpful.
Sure. Thank you.
So we've had accountants and auditors far before I even got into office that we would have for a while, and then somehow, some way, something would go awry, and we'd get rid of them. So Plant Moran was about $8,000 a month. Plant Moran was here for probably 7, 8 years, I want to say. Before that, there was, I don't know which firm that was. Then after that, we got Brad. Then after that, we got Ryan Smith. We've always seemed to find issues and dilemmas, and it's a hard pill to swallow as to how much it costs in order to get us and get this ship to right itself. But once the ship is righted, then we're good. Then we're golden. Then we're in. But the problem that I think that everyone here faces is we're not experts in that field. We're not experts in accounting. We're not experts in auditing. We don't know what we're supposed to look for, and we don't know if we're being taken advantage of. I think that insecurity of not knowing then lends itself to people knee-jerk reactions in which we vote to get rid of somebody, and we don't necessarily vote to negotiate with that person or get us cheaper price or whatever. It's just we get rid of them. And so if I think everybody was on a phone call or everybody was in a workshop where we were all hearing the same thing, yet not identifying necessarily, the problem is that we don't know the right questions to ask either. So it would be...
As soon as you start asking questions in that format, it is an open meeting.
Then it becomes an open meeting.
So you could do it as a workshop.
But we could do it as a workshop.
And advertise as a meeting, provided everyone is here, that there's a vote or a quorum present. You could advertise it as a meeting, and that the public would be able to attend and participate in if they'd like to.
Because I think what we know is we know hours, right? Man hours. We know how much we're paying. We know that we can divide those man hours by what we're paying. But we need to know what's happening in those man hours. We need to be able to identify what is going on that warrants that cost. But when you look at other accounting firms, John's not that far off. I mean, Plant Moran, like I said, we were paying somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000. And then Brad, we paid I think $5,000 or $6,000 a month. But you see what we got with those services. Those services, I would much rather pay more than where we were at with that whole scenario. And I think that was just from an overwhelming standpoint. I think we're overwhelmed. I mean, I think that's the issue. And we either gotta go back to it, or we gotta fix something fairly quickly, guys. I mean, we constantly keep putting ourselves in these rabbit holes of, and I know it's insecurity, and I know it's that we don't know exactly what we're spending our money on. And we need to be fiscally responsible for our residents and for our village assets. But if we keep intermittently doing these services, we're going to keep doing this over. This cycle doesn't break. I want to break the cycle. I want to get all the way to the end. I want to get to 17, 18, where we're starting to just put ledger items in. That's where I want to get to. And if it costs $60,000 or whatever it may be in order to get there, I'm kind of comfortable with that. Only because I know where we're going.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
The going back and forth between all of the auditing firms or the accounting firms is why this board then decided to hire somebody in-house. To stop going between them all.
But we gotta get that person to where everybody can then focus on those policies. We talked about those policies and procedures that we would put in place, those safeguards, those securities. But if we've got C&D going to 14, 15, we've got you who's not in the mix, but you're trying to piece together some stuff. And then we got John as well. I mean, again, that's not good either. I mean, don't get me wrong. From that perspective, I would say that that's not the best way to do it either. But I would say then we need to have weekly call-ins or there's got to be a team that's put together and assembled so that when it comes back to the council, each time we have to vote on $10,000, we know exactly what we're voting $10,000 on. You know, we know that we're getting the services rendered at that point. And that's where I think we're all struggling, and I know that lends itself to doubt. because we're not sure if we're making the right decision by spending that kind of money. But we also didn't negotiate for anything cheaper either.
Right.
So we're a village of 5,000. We're not the city of Warren. We're not Sterling Heights. We probably could ask for a cheaper rate. Like, we didn't even do that. So that's just my perspective. I mean, I apologize to everybody. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I will tell you that I would not have voted to get rid of Ryan's time in that meeting.
We're, when John gets back from vacation, him and I are going to get together and have a conversation and to see where we're at and what we need to do to get over the hump. At no cost to the village, of course.
Is there any issue with having Sandy, Rachel, in that meeting?
Well, if they become involved, then he may want to charge the village. Him and I are just going to talk to just at a local restaurant. And I'm not even sure he would even come back. But I would like to.
Well, it's not like we did. So it's not like we did anything to him.
No, but you weren't here at that meeting. He was treated like crap.
I did watch the video.
Okay.
I watched the whole meeting.
And I think it was a lot of unnecessary crap. But, I mean, we need to get over this hump, like you said, and we need to get totally caught up. And so we will get there one way or the other. And when John gets back and him and I get a chance to meet, and if I feel confident and comfortable enough to bring him back to this board, then I will, and with some very specific numbers and expectations and whatever else.
And I think we would feel comfortable with a hard and fast deadline. I mean, I know there's always this ambiguous answer, well, I don't know what they're gonna ask for, or I don't.
Well, that's,
you know what, take it from an average perspective of what happens in the industry, and let's set a hard and fast deadline for some of this stuff.
and I think part of the other issue that maybe we need to get a rep from Yo here.
I would definitely agree with that.
Well,
Yeah, I
one
would
of the
agree
things,
too.
I know it's hard to get a hard, fast deadline, and I understand that, but it's taken forever. And to my understanding, as I hear it and from bits and pieces of different people, it sounds like there's some things that, I don't know, at least just from an outsider perspective, it sounds like they're looking for tiny details to stuff that, yeah, sure, should we have those details? Should we have those on record? Yeah, we do. But you know what? We're spending them $10,000 to basically dig through boxes to find things that may or may not be relevant. Can't you just, is there a way to just write it off and say, look, we tried to find it, we can't find it,
I
we
think
find
John
it, let's
has,
get these things,
John has made that suggestion on more than one occasion that we were stuck on $3,000 or $4,000, and John said, that's not waste our time looking for.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Because we were $3,000 or $4,000 to the good, so it's kind of moving short. He said, let's move on, that's not waste our time looking for.
Right.
And I think our starting point back in March of 13 or 14 or something like that, there was not a clear starting point for the authors. And he said, don't worry about it, just move on, and hopefully it'll show up eventually.
So if there's an understanding between you and him, the treasurer, and communication's also my big thing. It sounds like there's a lot of concern that the treasurer's been left out of the loop. If those things can be addressed, I would definitely like to entertain the thought of resuming his.
We will have this conversation at the August meeting. It will definitely be on the agenda.
And I would definitely request that we have Yo at the meeting. I mean, especially, we're doing the same audit for every year. You got the 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16. Theoretically, I mean, I was an auditor for 5 years. Theoretically, you have your standard set of tests that you're going to do every single year. You're also going to have your standard requests for documents and stuff like that. So why, if we're being audited repeatedly on the same thing over and over again, we should be able to be proactive and have that ready for next year's audit. And to Dan's point, if they're going off on immaterial stuff,
I think some of the things that they just recently requested of us, when I saw the sheet today, I'm like, they're just not asking for this? And why didn't they ask for, back last year.
And Yo and Yo was, that's on behalf of the state, or was that on behalf of the county?
No, we hired.
We heard them.
Yeah, we gave them a 3-year contract.
But it's hard to give somebody else, right, because the state is slapped our wrist, basically.
No, there were bids out there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yo was the cheapest bid. The problem with the state doing our audit is the last one they did was a disclaimed opinion, and they said going forward, all of them would be disclaimed.
Yeah, so we didn't want to.
So they said in order to no longer have a disclaimed opinion, you have to go to an outside source.
And that was one of the reasons that it's taken so long also, because we didn't want this audit or any of these audits to be disclaimed. Okay, we wanted them all to be clean, so that's why they had to dig a little deeper and do a little more work.
It's easy to go down the fossil.
But we will bring this back at the August meeting. Item E, delinquent property. Thank you, Mr. I knew that was coming up somewhere. There's 4 properties that are coming up on the county auction, and they're garbage.
Yeah, I agree.
2 are in the floodplain, 1 leads to nowhere. And the top property is one of the properties that we took down the house.
Hey, quick question, that one's about $8,000. Does that include the cost of the demo, or is that a special assessment on top of the price that you see?
That was in addition to the demo.
So once whoever bought it, well, if we were to buy it off the county, it still wouldn't make us, bring us whole.
No, we'd be putting more good money after that.
Yep.
So there's no properties out there that will benefit the village.
Do we need a motion on record on file just so that we can submit it to the county?
There's no action. Submit, come on back up. At the last meeting, we terminated the services of our, we voted to terminate the service of our old engineering firm. They agreed to complete projects that are underway. And for the past few months, I've been having conversations with this gentleman. He's also the Lennox Township engineer. His qualifications, I'm sure you have your,
If I may. Some duties.
he's currently working on the, with the committee on the safe route to school. I think you met Mr. Van der Kerkhoff just recently.
Thank you again. I believe I have everybody the statement of qualification. This is our standard document that lists our services, qualifications, how long we've been in the business. And I basically graduated from NYU, moved to Michigan about 20 years ago. Started with a firm called Spalding Decker, and been Lennox Township engineer since 1997. I've seen this area grow and very familiar with the area. I myself has been the assigned engineer for Lennox Township for those 20 years. I also have one other municipal client, the City of Orchard Lake Village, which is very similar to government to the Village of New Haven. And I've been approached by the president, and here we are. Hopefully we can provide our services to you and be part of your team. This document is a big document, about 82 pages. Has our references, sample projects that we've done. I am a municipal engineer, I'm not a private, always been working with municipalities, do understand how things tick and operate in a governmental entity. And you have our chart, our certifications, insurance will be, if we get approved, then the clerk will receive our certificate of insurance within a couple of days. And we'll go from there. I also give President Dilbert 2 copies of a standard agreement that just bind our services to you, and it's by all means non-exclusive, and you can terminate us within 30 days. Standard service agreement. And hopefully we don't come across the same issues that you had with the previous engineer. And we're better looking.
Not to rain on your parade, but I do see, just randomly flipping through here, Lennox Township Sanitary System Master Plan. Does that have anything to do with the collapsed sewer drain over by Meyer on 26 Mile? It says it's not 26 Mile, was that part of that? 26 Mile. Did that have, was that related at all? Because I know they have an issue, they're still resolving it.
We're still working on it, yes.
That was built by the county.
That was from the county, but were you?
Yeah, we are involved with that. We discovered a crack in the pipe, and obviously, I'm sorry?
It's not a secret.
It's not a secret. Thank you.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, Al is involved with that issue. So we engaged that contractor, and they fixed the pipe and backfill. Now it's just a matter of restoration, but there are some issues with who's paying the contractor and all that, so that's being resolved right now. As far as safety and welfare of the residents, everything has been addressed. But it's nothing out of the norm. You have a cracked pipe and you have to fix it.
So is it the problem of physical, the quality of the product that was put in, or the method of putting it in, more so than the design, the engineering of how it should be?
We suspect this is more of a faulty pipe and the installation method, but that's still being looked at right now. I can go over the Zachman and we can stay here till midnight.
No, we don't want to do that. Questions?
I can touch up on highlights if you, I can take any questions.
There's some costs. Yeah, I don't have anything specific, but why isn't this being RFP? Not specifically for review.
Why isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we can decide to go RFP, but one thing I noticed about RFPs, you get every professional that has no idea where the village of New Haven is, okay? And the fact that he works for Lennox and he knows this village. I personally thought that instead of wasting our time interviewing people that we don't know, haven't seen, and don't know us, and don't know nothing about us, and we're still shooting in the dark. Okay, but here's an individual that knows the community. And they said he's been in Lennox for 20 years, so he knows the area, and he knows our system. And I think it would be a much better fit than just go out there RFP and get some engineering firm from wherever that has no clue. They're just bidding on a job.
Okay, but you would have that firm bidding against, I'm assuming you would apply for the RFP too.
Of course.
I mean, let the process play out, because I'm sitting here thinking, you may be the greatest engineer in the world, but I don't know what he charges, I don't know what I'll compare to anybody else. I really don't have anything other than a 2-minute conversation and thumbing through an 80-page book. And I don't imagine your services come cheap. I mean,
Do we have a proposed number? I'm not trying to.
I totally understand where you're coming from. We've seen it all. We've seen companies come in and they give you low rates, but actually the rates don't mean anything. If I put a junior engineer on the job and charge you twice the amount of hours, you'll be paying me more. And again, this is not a forever contract. You can terminate it within 30 days. If you want to see how it goes, see if you like what you see and what kind of service that we can offer. If everybody's happy, we keep doing it. If you're not happy, by all means, bid it. Interview those engineers, but you would not get a full story. Again, we've been around the area, very familiar with the area. I've been Lennox engineer for 20 years myself. I've been assigned to that contract for 20 years. I assure you, you're going to be satisfied. As far as the rates themselves, we have standard rates and municipal rates. The municipal rates gives you already a 20-30% discount on the rates because it goes under a formula based on the construction cost of a project. We are locked in a percent for the professional fees. So for instance, this is Clark Street, 280 between 0 to 300, it ranges between, for the standard rate, it's about 11%, 10 to 11%. For a municipal rate, it's about 7. I cannot charge you more than that. That's per the agreement. If I spend double the amount of hours, your charge will still be the same. There are no redos, and it's all locked in that matrix. And again, I just want to clarify, I mean, I could slash my rates in half and put a junior engineer on the job, but you will get a lot of hours just to recover. And I think most of the municipalities that are bidding and going with the lowest bidder, they experience that, experiencing the same issue. But what you see is what you're going to get. I'm your hitman. You're going to see me in every meeting. I'm not going to charge you for any meetings. I'll be in every board meeting. And actually, every planning commission meeting, if there's a project being proposed, we give you all that support for free. My cell phone is on the card that you had. I can show you my call log from my other clients. There's no rhyme or reason or time. Weekends, nights, I get the call, I answer. Very responsive, very plugged in. Any engineer can do the job. Like you said, I'm not the super engineer, but I think you'll find value with my firm.
yeah, I'm not doubting your ability, professionalism, or anything like that. I'm just, how the process is playing out, I'm basically making a decision in the dark, a major decision in the dark.
You're going to make a major decision in the dark no matter if we're going to RFP.
That's true, exactly, basically touching on off of what Chandler said, to the effect of, we don't know what questions to ask because we're not professionals and stuff like that. However, I do want to say,
If that's true, we would never RFP ever.
I hear you on that, and I'm actually about to get back to it. I do got to bring up, to Percoli's side of the equation, is last month, under E, item number E of President's items, we did make the motion unanimously. Pridemore motioned it. It was seconded by Trustee Percoli. I make the motion to post the RFP for engineering services. Prior to last month's meeting, shortly beforehand, I was informed he was on the radar, and I was excited. And everything sounded great. I actually spoke with Mr. Percoli, and I said, I'm excited. I think we got this guy coming in. And I would have voted at last month's meeting had the motion been made to just take him rather than the RFP. But unfortunately, that's not how the motion went. The motion was made, and it is kind of disappointing that we haven't RFP'd it. That being said, maybe we could make a motion to take him on right now while we RFP, and then we can reconsider since it is a month-to-month contract.
Do that.
If we go that route, what, honestly, I also don't, like you said, I don't want to vote in the dark either, so what is his rate? What was Fossil's? I know.
Well, I don't want to, his is, I'm going to be careful here.
I mean, can someone tell? I mean,
I'm just saying that it's.
I can't make a motion.
I'll make it.
I like it. I'm excited, and I'm sorry to kind of go off rhythm here, but I've been nothing but completely satisfied. I'm really ecstatic about working with him, hopefully in the future, and hopefully that is the case. But the motion was made. I thought he was going to be here today as part of other candidates as well who responded to the RFP. I thought the RFP went out. That's my 2 cents.
We'll make it easy for you if you're worried about the rates, and we will match your existing rate, what you had with Fossil, and we'll just match it. That's not a big deal.
Can I? All right. Actually, I do have a side question first before I go down that road. Your offices are in Shelby.
Yes.
But you don't have any Shelby projects in your book. Did you work with Greg on anything? Have you worked with anybody in Shelby?
Shelby Township?
Yeah.
When I was with Spalding, yes, we did work on a couple of projects for them, but they had their own engineers. They do their own projects.
You never tried to get in?
We interviewed, we got shortlisted, but we didn't get it.
Okay. So my second point to this is I agree with Tricoli. I mean, we have to set a standard of what we're going to do, and we can't falter from that standard. So if we're going to get new professionals of any sort, then we need to interview those professionals. Now, I say that to say we have to get to some kind of gold standard of policies and procedures that we do all the time across the board. So you realize this is nothing personal towards you.
Absolutely.
But we have to set that standard of making sure that we're transparent in how we hire our professionals. And not to say that there's any impropriety. That's not what I'm saying, but we need to have some policies and procedures in place. Now, to say that, we did put ourselves in a situation already earlier this meeting where I'm assuming we've hired your services to do this drilling, correct? So we do have to do probably the month of, if we wanted to do a month of services so that we had a safety net of a professional engineering company to just monitor what we're doing for this month while we have the position vacated. I mean, that's just good responsibility right there. I mean, to have and make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. So as an advisor to our project of drilling and to any other issues or concerns or questions, then I would say that we would probably kind of already have, but we would probably want to hire your services for a month while we post for the RFP. But I think it's in our best interest as a village to make sure that we RFP for professional services. And honestly, when you go up against these other people, having the know-how that you or the experience that you have in this area, it should be prevalent in that interview process. You know, I mean, we know that. We've all been in that experience before where we're hiring professionals and you have that professional that'll stand out because of the experience, the know-how, and everything else that they've done in the area. So I have no doubt that you will probably surpass those other individuals, but we need a litmus test. So at least that's mine.
One of the things that I did propose last month, and I think, and I don't know, there was no formal motion made on it, was the formation of a professional committee, you know, to be directly involved in, you know, ongoing conversations with our professionals.
Trustee Pridemore asked for that to be the Ways and Means.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be a Ways and Means function.
But to go off of Trustee Chandler's point on the previous vote we took, I thought that was I was under the understanding that was for a project, not for the services for the month.
for the village. No, it's not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it's for a specific project, but from a month perspective of anything else that's going on in this village, from an engineering perspective, a pipe burst, whatever, I mean, it's not that season, but, you know, if there's any other, or we just do it by the.
It's for that project. Because Father Pond Associates, like anything that's going on currently, like their stormwater project, they're still covering that. And our Dollar General site plan review, they're still covering those issues, so.
We're covered till August, huh?
We'll be covered.
And we don't have to put this RFP out. I mean, there's nothing that stipulates it has to be 30 days, right? I mean, we have to acknowledge how long we want to do it, right? Yeah, if somebody wants to jump on it, put their application in, right, you know?
Madam Clerk, we should have I would assume we would have a copy, template, somewhere back there.
I will. Okay.
Just put it out on Mitten, right?
Yeah.
Should we make a motion then to at least give his services for the next month?
No, we're gonna leave it as it is, because he's already involved in the Clark Street, and then we'll do our.
To give you a mechanism to use our services, if you want to make a motion to hire us on a temporary basis on an on-call basis, this way we can cover anything that comes in from now until you select your engineer. You can do that.
How comfortable where are you at with council? Like, would they cover us right now?
Anything new coming up, I'd rather go with Cement. Are you talking about ongoing or?
No, I guess it would be any new issues.
New, I prefer to go with that.
So in on-call is just an hourly rate?
Yeah, we'll honor your existing rates and just call us when you need. If you have a problem, call us for any consultation or design, or and Clark Street would fall under that too. Until you select actually and sign an agreement with your new engineer, hopefully it will look like me.
So hourly rate for the month, not to exceed 2,000, 6 months back to council. For 25, what's your thing? 25. 25. Yeah. Not to exceed the 25.
Just so I understand, the determination with Basel Con, they're covering everything that's ongoing now. They're going to continue to service those projects, but nothing new, right?
There's been nothing new come up.
But if that's not their realm, then
Right. Yeah, they're covering the storm and the Dollar General, there's a last bit or last combine that's coming up on the agenda. So things that were already in motion that they were handling, they're seeing to completion.
Which makes sense. I mean, they're already in the middle of construction. They want to finish it. I mean, I would love to take over the job, but it's not fair to you.
Okay, so we're gonna do the RFP. And we're gonna work on the Clark Street boring.
Do we want to do a motion for the not to exceed 2,500? Have a on-call?
Yeah, do we need 3 separate, do we need motions for the first 2 things you just said? I mean, we already did the boring, so that's done.
Yes, done.
What was the first thing you mentioned? The RFP, do we need to make a motion? Because Mitten costs money,
It's
right?
already, it's
That was already done.
Okay, so that's done too. So we just need to make this last motion. Okay, I make a motion to hire Tri-County Engineering Consultants on an on-call basis for the next month, not to exceed $2,500.
second.
The property moved and supported that Tri-County Engineering be hired for the next month, not to exceed $2,500. Any questions on the motion?
will this be for emergency situations only?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, if I need to clarify that in my motion, I will. But yeah, it's only for emergency purposes. We're not starting any new projects. Well, Clark Street's already been voted on. That's a separate vote, so.
And you're saying next month to next meeting?
Correct.
Any other questions on the motion? please.
Trustee Chandler?
Yes.
Trustee Frankel?
Yes.
Trustee McCauley?
Yes.
Trustee Myerson?
Yes.
Trustee Kezia?
Yes.
President Colbert?
Yes. Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Payment of bills.
I make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $225,484.43.
Support. It's been properly moved and supported that we pay the bills in the amount of $225,484.43. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Frankel?
Yes.
Trustee Myerson?
Yes.
Trustee McCauley?
Yes.
Trustee Chandler?
Yes.
Trustee Kezia?
Yes.
President Colbert?
Yes. Receive a note from the clerk.
For the next meeting, I'm sorry, it's August 1st. The things are to be due by, for items for the August meeting, council meeting. I had an error on the 371.
Treasurer report.
Total village assets for the month of June, $2,696,868.13.
So tell me that we're getting taxes coming.
No, we didn't send anything, yes, we're getting taxes. They went out,
'Cause this is the lowest I've ever
June 30th,
seen.
yeah. No, actually, it's up from last month.
It is.
Well, I wasn't here. So this is the lowest I've seen.
You still got it? Yeah, it's going up. Taxes went out on the 30th, last Friday, before I got them out. So
We
it's
got $5,000 in one.
Yeah, somebody already came, they came in on like Wednesday and paid their taxes, or just funny.
What do we usually anticipate from the tax roll for this tax that's sent out? What do we usually get back? What do we average?
You're asking me, and I forgot to ask Lori.
I saw it.
She usually gives me a report, and I forgot it.
So like 1.2? 900?
I won't even guess.
Well, if you get it, will you just send it to me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. I saw this. Yes. But there's still some, and that's still a guesstimate because of the board of reviews. There's still some issues, like say with the state tax tracking that could affect.
No, it won't affect the taxes that went out. It affects it if something changes, then the county refunds that person, and then we have to pay the county back.
Yeah, then we gotta pay it, yeah. So it does affect the bottom line.
But it won't affect what taxes went out.
Yeah, I'm just looking for an average. Like,
Yep, I'll get you that.
I'm not looking for the penny.
Yep, I'll get it.
Okay. Unfinished business.
Okay, so I know it says update on here, but I don't have an update. I was wondering if we could get an update. Whether or not that's going to be an item that was otherwise planned to be addressed in closed session, I don't know, but I was looking for an update on the unsafe structure demolition. The one that we were at least made the motion to pursue, the old funeral home.
It's ready to be filed. Do we need to go into close?
We don't need to go in closed session on that, Mr. President, but it is ready to go.
Okay, so are we ready to proceed? And I think one of the questions that Mr. Addis had is, I think, stay standing. You're awful comfy there.
I'll do that. It was very nice there. Plus, I got to steal Sermon's pen. So
We don't want, there was a conversation that Mr. Addis and I had today about how many lawsuits we have in the court system. And I don't,
Well, here's the approach. When we came on board to be your counsel, one of the things we presented to you and leaned on very hard is to try to keep your costs under control. So the approach to that is that it's kind of nice to be close to finishing one lawsuit before you jump into another one and another one and another one. Because otherwise, then all of a sudden you get a snapshot of a legal fee one month and you go, oh my God, because we're doing it all at once. Now, whether to proceed or not to proceed with a certain case, that we should discuss in closed session. But as a general idea, I just want to make you aware that we don't want to be viewed as grinding the legal fees, ever. Okay? One, it's unethical, and I won't be around here long if I do that. There's lots of legal issues that need to be addressed. We try to do it in the most cost-efficient way possible. So there are a couple things we'll have to go over in closed session because they're not for, it's about legal and legal strategy. But everything is ready to go when in closed session you decide, let's go. They're all done. Okay, and we can do that in closed session. But the point, and the public should know this, is we want to lay these costs out so that you're not getting hammered all at once. Does that make sense? Anything else I can answer while I'm here? No. Mr. Safecraft?
ST.
I'm sorry. We didn't get a motion for the treasurer's report.
Receive and file.
I make a motion to receive and file the treasurer's report as presented.
Support.
It's probably moved and supported that we receive and file the treasury report as presented. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. ST, are you satisfied with the response on the?
Yeah, absolutely, the service structure.
ST road work.
Yeah, so I know they're done with Main Street, right? They're on Division now.
No, they're not done with me.
Oh, they're still.
They're done with this part of me.
Right.
As they come up Division, they will go up Main. Tom, are you? Tom's right here.
Yes, they're working on Division right now. They've done Division east of Haven Ridge. And today they're probably, I don't know, 100 to 200 feet west of Olin on Division. And then once they'll go to Main Street, and then I think it's up as far as Orchard, I think it is, or maybe not quite that far to finish. So I would think they're going to finish Division probably this week, and I'm guessing a week and a half maybe to get the pipe in on Main Street.
So everything seems to be.
Yeah, it's slow because there's a lot of things in the way, but everything seems to be going relatively good, yeah.
Estimated time of completion, the whole thing?
We're probably still at roughly about the 10 weeks I gave you at the last meeting. I mean, right after he finishes the storm, then they pulverize the existing streets and resurface it.
No foreseeable reason right now for it to go into winter and have to be
No.
installed and open pits? Okay,
No.
cool. All right.
There's, just so you know, in case you are ever called, there was one oops yesterday, which caused the basement flooding on Elk Street.
Yes.
One basement flooded. It was, the existing pipe was ball-headed and the water had nowhere to go.
Contractors insured, or are we on the hook?
The contractor is insured
And he's aware of it.
and he's aware of it.
And it should be their responsibility.
And he's probably walking stiff right now.
Okay.
But other than that, I tell you what, if you guys are in town while those holes are open, you need to just stop by and take a look. Don't get close to the edge though. And I guess I never realized all the stuff underground. You gotta make sure you don't hit that gas main, and the water main, and that. Yeah. I wouldn't want to work in that hole for no amount of money. Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Mr. Van de Kerkhoff.
Yeah, I know. We've been taking at it. So yeah, the Citizens Initiative thing. So I know this was a motion, I think, a couple months ago. Basically, as a way for residents to put something on a ballot, short of council doing it themselves. So I just want to give an update. I just received the modified version of it just yesterday. I wasn't sure if it was actually going to be on the agenda anyway, so I just kind of put this as a spot to hold. It doesn't look like we do have a copy of it. I don't think council's received a copy, so I guess we'll just wait till next month. But I received a copy. I don't know if council did, but it'd be nice if the whole entirety of council gets it so that we can all review it. And I think there were some other ordinances, the fireworks. So hopefully we all get a copy of that within a few days or weeks so that we can be prepared at next council meeting to discuss voting on those.
New business. I'm sorry, were you done on that?
Yeah, that's it, business.
New business.
Liaison, yes. Liaison appointments. So it's been said, actually, you yourself have made reference to the fact that you're, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but you have a lot on your plate. And there's three particular matters that have come up in my mind that I think this would best apply to. But if anybody else has any other suggestions, I think it would be a great, I don't think it would be limited to just these three. But I believe in appointing liaisons from council to hopefully handle the bulk of day-to-day inquiries and just communications between basically act on the village's behalf, of course, keeping you abreast of the matter, and you having obviously ultimate overriding authority, otherwise, unless council has the authority, but to handle day-to-day communications and day-to-day communications. So the three that I'm proposing would be code enforcement, sheriffs, county sheriffs. So, you get a lot of stuff on Facebook. Oh, they're speeding through here. Oh, this and that. And we don't expect you, as president of the village, to be making phone calls every day. Oh, they're speeding. Oh, this person lit off fireworks or something like that. But if we had a liaison who just handles that, I think that would be efficient. So the sheriff, and then the other one would be MDOT. I don't know if they could be MDOT and/or streets or something like that. But I feel those three, at least those three liaison appointments would be beneficial toward getting stronger, effective, more efficient communication.
I would definitely support two of them. That's MDOT and code enforcement. And I think you have pretty much.
Yes, but no. But and again, that's one of the things I have put a lot of time and effort researching and copying and pasting and sending emails and phone calls and everything. But without, I always have to put like the little caveat at the end of it saying, but I am just one of 7 council members. Ultimately, it's their decision and/or the president's, and I always direct them as such. But I think it would carry a little more weight, and in no way would I say, to delegate the authority unless you otherwise find it appropriate. But just to be able to say, hey, look, I'm the liaison. I'm kind of keeping track of the matters, and this is my findings on this. It would carry more weight than just saying, I'm one of 7 trustees, and this is what I think. Because it kind of creates this kind of ambiguous nature of like, well, he's just one of 7. Like, what do the other people think, et cetera, et cetera. So
Back in the day,
communication.
Back in the day, and I use that term because it was a long time ago. The village council did operate under that system, and there was they liaison to the fire department, to the police department, to the wherever, and it worked quite well back then, and I think it can work, like I said, code enforcement. Chris probably needs someone that wants to talk to her now, and I know I'm not available. The only one I probably wouldn't support is the sheriff, because I think the sheriff department, a liaison does not want to take all these 999 phone calls on late fireworks, and I wouldn't want to put that on no one, because the sheriff department, they do what they do. We direct them. When I get multiple complaints about speeding on Main Street, I say, hey guys, spend a little more time on Main, a little less time on Haven Ridge, or a little less time on, and just, at least make your presence, noticeable, and then things kind of calm down.
So should we, because, like, for example, and this is just for example, I'm not saying that this is representing the whole village, but I live in Decor Park, so I'm on Facebook. There's a group, Decor Park. There's literally hundreds of residents in this group. And there's one for Amherst. I don't know if the other ones have it, but there will be dozens of people saying, I'm probably the black sheep. I'm not all that concerned, generally speaking, of some matters that some people are. But should we direct them if they say, I'm going to call, or who do we call, or this is absurd. I want to come talk. I want to talk to somebody. should we direct them to you?
No. Just give them the phone number.
To Macomb County?
Just give them the phone number, because there's nothing I can do.
Right, but again, getting to the overall gist of it is to hopefully get some improved, in this particular instance with the sheriffs, is get some improved patrolling or something like that. Like you said, spend a little more time here, not a little more time here.
If someone wants to take on that position, have at it, and you're gonna regret it.
Can I just, when we had Sheriff Wickersham here last time, he said if there's ever a problem, call him.
Call them.
Right, yeah.
And when I get.
So, I mean, if
who calls?
everybody's just getting together and arguing about what's not being done, the sheriff can't do anything because he does a follow-up.
Right, but so who calls? And obviously, yes, right now it's the
Well,
president.
I have his number, but there's a very public number.
Yeah.
Right, but then you're gonna talk to it, you're gonna talk to
You're gonna talk to the dispatcher, absolutely.
Right. And that gets lost in translation though. I mean, there could be 100 calls, but if somebody doesn't say, holy smokes, we had 100 calls. And I know they have a shift commander, and perhaps we could designate the shift commander's contacts to said liaison. I'm just saying, I think there's room for improvement in our communications with the sheriff.
Yeah, to trustee Vandergrift's point, I mean, I feel like I've already started to get a little bit of a relationship or a repertoire going with one of the deputies. Communication opened, and we've chatted on the phone a couple of times. You know, I think to also to your point, you know, about, oh, there's been, you know, we're hearing some complaints about this area or this area. Just having that relationship more on a, you know, one-on-one basis, or more of a greater voice, you know, to the Macomb County, to the deputies themselves, maybe would be beneficial.
If someone wants that position.
Okay. Could I make a motion for three separate motions, or?
Well, do we have any volunteers for these positions, first of all?
I was gonna go for the code enforcement. Sheriff.
Take on Macomb County Sheriff.
And I was gonna nominate
MDOT.
for Coley for MDOT. He's gone, and remember, we were at all three of the meeting before, and he's kind of familiar with that as well.
I'm good with all three of those.
I make a motion to appoint trustee Percoli as an MDOT liaison, trustee Meissen to Macomb Sheriff's Department, and trustee Andy Kirkove for the code enforcement liaison.
Second.
Been properly moved and supported that the three named individuals be the official liaisons to those departments. Any questions on the motion?
So who would notify those departments that there's now a new liaison?
I will. I'll make it official. What's his name?
You know him.
John.
No,
Joshua.
what's his name on there? Yeah.
The other thing that I was going to say, and I'm going to support this because I think there does need to be, and I've always been somebody who says that there needs to be a lead on things, that conversation goes through that. But I will just say that we do still need to look at, one, our committees. We had Safe Street committees, we had all these other committees, so what do we do with those? We need to have that discussion at some point. We don't have to do it tonight, but do we keep those committees as well and resurrect them? Or if not, do we just go single liaison to these issues and then bring them back? So that's one thing we'll have to talk about. Again, we don't have to do it tonight. The other thing is this is a perfect time to talk about, and not tonight, but when we do this other stuff, perfect time to talk about a village manager. So just keep that in mind. I'd like everybody to just keep that in the back of their head, that should be something that we have a conversation about as well. And then I'm done. I had a third one, but I can't think of what it was.
Do we want to make a motion to even have that on the agenda item for next month, or?
No, we can just put it on there. Clerk will require a motion for it. Okay, any other questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item B.
I
I put this on here for discussion only. The first thing I want to say about it is I'm not bringing this up for any particular individual or any particular issue. But since I had that meeting with Coco about rules and procedures and parliamentary procedure, I looked through our rules and procedures in respect to the agenda. And I really think we need to revert back to how the agenda should be done. And one of the issues with it, that I have with it is when council is presented with the packet. On our rules and procedures, we have to submit our stuff 10 days before the meeting, and then we get it back 7 days before the meeting to have a week to go over everything. Because one of the things I've noticed, and then when I was sitting out there for 5 years ago until now, is it just seems like we're learning at the table a lot of times. We're getting a lot of information thrown at us at the last minute and expected to make intelligent decisions on these items without having any time to really look them over. So, and that results in meetings that last 3 hours long, 4 hours long, that nobody wants to sit through. So I'm of the opinion that we actually go back to getting our agenda items in order, getting them timely, so that all of council has, and the public have an opportunity to know what's coming up on the agenda and what's being acted on. And that's the second part of it too, is I've been following another community that's having some controversy going on, and one of the issues they're bringing up is a lot of things being added to the agenda, especially action items. And by doing that, they're creating a lot of distrust to the council, because say there's a particular issue that I'm passionate about, and I look on the agenda and it's not going to be discussed at that meeting. Well, it gets added to the meeting at the meeting and then and voted on, and I was robbed of my say on that issue. So, I mean, going forward, me personally, I'll be less apt to vote in favor of agendas that have additions on them, especially action items, unless it's something, even in our rules and procedures, that say that it's administrative and cannot wait until the next meeting. Those can be added to the agenda at that point. I talked to the clerk about it before the meeting, and she's okay with it. But if anybody else has any thoughts on it, something I may be overlooking, but I do think that it's something that will help our meetings run more efficiently and more timely, and have us make better decisions on what's being presented at council.
Good.
Or that's it. But if anybody has any input, but that's.
There's a few things in that packet that was adopted. I think it was adopted back in '08 that we don't do, and some of them, I will be the first to say that I don't push those items because it becomes too. And I understand the importance of Robert's Rule of Order and parliamentary procedure, but it becomes somewhat boring, and so I don't stick to a lot of the things. One of the things that I don't stick to is that Mr. Ben, I'll use Mr. Ben as an example. He has 4 items on here, and none of them went through me. And according to the rules, they all should go through me. Okay? And I've never attempted to enforce that, because I look at us as a board, So, with that being said, I guess what I'm saying is, yes, we need to, I would agree that maybe we need to get our packets a little sooner, but I'm just as guilty as the clerk, because I added 2 things yesterday and I added 1 tonight. But by the same token, let's enforce a few of the other rules too.
Yeah, I went through I read through the whole rules and procedures, and there are a lot of them that are kind of bland, but I singled those 2 out just because of the effect that they would have on our meetings and our decision making as a board. I mean, the 3 minutes for discussion or whatever, I mean, I'm not a stickler in that either, but those are the two things I focused on, and if we want to go back and change those other rules, form a committee to change them to loosen them up or whatever, I mean, that's fine, but I do think that the rules that are in place for the agenda and the posting of the agenda should be enforced.
So speaking upon that, so you want to go over that date frame, that time and date frame. Things are due, the items for August 8th meeting, it's going to be due July 25th. So July 25th, I need everything in, and that's it.
Cut it off.
If anybody else,
Actually, I think it was 10 days. July 25th would be the 2 weeks, so 10 days would put it at that Friday, the 28th, which would give you the weekend to get it out by the 2nd.
you're saying 10 days prior to the meeting, August 8th is the meeting. So you can count.
Yeah, you need it 10 days prior to the meeting, and then I thought this said
Send it on
a week
before
before.
to you by 3 days before next.
The goal is to have the agenda prepared and available 7 days before any meeting.
So 27th of February.
And it would make it easier on the clerk because she's not going to put an updated agenda and then an update to that update and then an update to that update. She's not doing 3 or 4 agendas.
Just a point of clarification, are you saying action items or any items?
I'm personally going to go with any items because a lot of discussion items that we've had on the council and I've seen it turned into action items. So, I mean,
The only thing I would say to that is I would definitely agree with you on action items all day long. If we did the 10 days, but the clerk stayed at her Thursday before to still put the packet out, so even though it's 10 days, you'd still stay. I would say that if you've learned of anything that you want to discuss, that in between that time, if you shoot her an email, then that's okay. Like, for instance, like if I come across a grant, and I want to talk about that grant, that meeting, I want to put that on the agenda, right? But I just came across it, within the 10 days leading up. But I don't want an action item on it. I just want to be able to talk to you guys, let you know about it. I mean, I guess we could do that from call from the table. But then that's like the last thing at the end where everybody wants to go. So it's nice to have it in an organized fashion. So I would totally agree with action items all day long. I just don't know the Thursday before we couldn't throw something in.
The problem with the Thursday before, and it's happened twice now, is when they were updating our computers, we couldn't get to them. And then last week there was a virus and couldn't get to them. So she couldn't even get to the computers until the weekend. So
we'll see
you're kind
that in a case like
you're kind of
that.
strangling her to,
But that's not us. I mean, you wouldn't have got that anyway, whether I gave you anything or not.
no, but if she would have had it done on Tuesday.
Oh, I mean, if you guys, yeah, I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
You can have it up until Tuesday. I mean, I don't think it's a bum rush of like new items.
That's
but-
what action items should be on the agenda in that time frame. But just for discussion, I would totally agree with you. We should be able to add, because things do come up.
Yeah.
See,
That's what we're talking about.
and that's what I'm saying, I would, if that's the case, I have the agenda up, so every time someone adds something, I have to keep on pulling it and reposting and reposting, which happens a lot. Even with the bills come in last minute, remember, Rachel, I gave her.
I was in
bills
here last week in the bills for a moment.
But that,
That would fall under administrative.
yeah, how would that, we couldn't, is there a way to fix that? I mean, do we just post the bills as it stands on Thursday and not repost after that? Is there some rule for that?
And just change it and repost it all over again. Really,
But I'm almost wondering if you have to. I guess that's my
No,
question
that's
from a
where,
procedural
that's where
standpoint.
on the.
Because the
I
bills are
give you-
changing as we speak right now, so.
I give you the breakdown, the request for professional bills to be paid in July, that was 146,000. The ones that were paid in June were the ones that were not approved at the June meeting, but we paid in between that meeting and this one. So that's where it would fall. We just happened to be here at the same time, so I shoved it in there, she redid the numbers.
So you're the one at fault.
Saw me. She gave me the invoice.
But if you take a specific instance like this weekend where there was a virus and the computers were down, now we got 2 days to look it over. Whereas if we went back, we still had 5 days to look over and be able to research and deliver it, do it, and do any fact finding we need to do before the meeting.
Well, I mean, there's
So-
nothing to say that we couldn't have a discussion item added to the agenda today.
The discussion is not personal.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, you're not gonna, the only reason I'm asking for a point of clarification on the day of the meeting is because I want our board to be fluid. I want everybody to kind of agree that, hey, these are, because if you don't agree with that, you're gonna vote veto every agenda that comes up, right? Because we've added a discussion item. And so that's, I just want to make sure we have the same definition, and that we're cohesive, and that we all kind of agree on that. So I'm totally,
Oh, sorry.
well, I was just gonna say, I'm totally good on non-action, or on action items need to be in 10 days, but discussion items can be added up until the day of, if the board permits. So.
I would agree with trustee Chandler. I mean, the discussion item that I have added to the agenda tonight, I mean, if I were to wait another month for it, it probably would be irrelevant by that point. It's just like a discussion point. You get things, as they come, you want to just be able to discuss it and as an outline.
Yeah, you never know when a resident's gonna contact you, or, about an issue.
I'd be comfortable with that if it was discussion only, if it was not going to be a vote on.
Correct, yes, no.
And then, because I've seen
Action
it
item
done before.
shouldn't be, an item that's added at the table should not receive action. It should be discussion item.
Because it's happened in the past where it was a discussion only, and in the discussion, it turned out that, oh, hey, we need to do this, and all of a sudden, a motion's being made and passed on a discussion only item. And that's where I have my reservations with that.
Well, a perfect example, and this is, I had the same reservations up until this one example happened, and then I was like, well, I'm not so sure. When we did the GIS mapping, and we knew they were gonna be out there, and we knew they were gonna do the infrastructure, and we added that $90,000 that day because of the way the project was built and focused on. If we would've waited, that wouldn't have been beneficial to us. Because we would've waited that whole other month, and they could've gotten started. And it would all been inclusive in that scope of work. So that's kind of where I kind of went past where, because it sometimes happens that way. But for the most part, I think if we create a guideline, and if there's a case where the board agrees, then we can move that discussion item to an action item if the board agrees. But if somebody says, I'm not comfortable with this because of the way it was presented, because of our guidelines, it becomes a moot point then.
The guidelines allow it.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, let's just start out by trying to get to the clerk, the items that need to be that 10-day time frame. And then let's proceed with caution, knowing that our intent is to do everything like we're just discussing, but there are gonna be those situations, and we're not gonna cut off our nose by the face. So, we're just gonna, we'll just be smart about it, and we won't be adding minor things that could wait. But if it's something major that needs to be dealt with, then we need to deal with it. So.
And one thing that might be beneficial is if somebody in the office, somebody in administration in the office sends us a Google Calendar, like dates when you have to have stuff in, so we just automatically get that in our email. That says you have to have your stuff in by today. Okay. If you're gonna have an action item. There's no reason why we can't set the calendar out a year in advance. So.
That's true.
Yeah, every day is known, so, you can have the reminder.
Right, exactly. You know what the 10 days before are gonna be.
Sure. Okay, so those rules are already in place, so we don't really need a motion on them. The Wallerman Lawn Care lot split, or lot combination. We have a recommendation from the planner that we approve the lot combine. I think everyone got their packet of survey in their box.
Don't they usually provide us with the resolution? I looked at it, it says by resolution, but there's not a resolution in that packet.
Does it need to be done by resolution? It's a lot combine.
To combine the lots, it's really done as the assessing department, as long as the board approves it, and then the resolution. Or formality, it's going to vote.
Okay. So once we approve it, then we send it to Lennox and they do all the other.
Can we hear from the owners?
I'm sorry.
Can we hear? Are you guys here for the lot? Do you represent the lot split?
Yes.
Can you just come up for a second? Can you just kind of give us a brief detail of what it is that
The two lots combined, and you need to combine because the original lot we purchased for building is not large enough. So we're also filing a variance for that. So we need both lots combined, they're still not large enough. We're asking for a variance on that because we're not, I think it's 3 acres in size. So because of all this, we're putting up a 3,200 square foot building. So in order for us to achieve all this, we have to combine lots to do so. Because they're property lots, I think.
And what's your services?
Well, it's long lot here, DBA long services, I'm glad to see long maintenance only.
Okay.
Summer.
Are the variances coming up against the zoning board? Are the variances coming up to the zoning board?
Yeah, we're going to the ZBA next.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we have to pass this phase first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 26 Mile Road property. It was already property zoned, light industrial, just that the parcels were small.
Light industrial?
I mean, it's heavy industrial, I'm sorry. But the parcels were small. They would have been small for any business.
So by the combo, now you can put up a building, you're gonna need a couple. The only reason I'm asking this is I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but I'm on ZBA, so that's why I'm just curious as to the building itself. You want it 3,200 square feet, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, we'll be at 2.25 acres now.
Yeah, 2.27,
2.27, yeah.
And this is for all your equipment?
Yeah, some storage in the building itself.
Okay.
Parking and all that kind of stuff.
Cool, thanks.
And the current ordinance requires
3 acre minimum.
3 acres.
Yeah.
So either, we just approved or we got 2 parcels that are sitting there going,
We can help a business progress.
exactly.
I appreciate it.
And can anybody explain the reasoning, the cover letter for the county says we should defer approving this until legal descriptions and measurements are provided?
That one for the Tavio engineering already. In fact, I believe you guys should email.
Yeah.
Oh,
The new site plans are in there.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, we had a couple issues to be modified, correct.
Oh, that's this.
Yeah, there's a new recommendation from the plan. And he is proposing that we do approve this. He is recommending that we approve this.
All right, so I make a motion to combine lots 30445 and 30475 on 26 Mile Road.
Second.
Been properly moved and supported that we approve the lot combine of the addresses 30445 and 30475, 26 Mile Road. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Chandler?
Yes.
Trustee Foley?
Yes.
Trustee Meisen?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Trustee Hazia?
Yes.
President Boomer?
Yes.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
New items?
Code enforcement.
Okay, so, recently, and again, this is, sorry to add it on, but this did actually just kind of get brought to my attention within the last couple of days, because of, as I alluded to before, social media. The residents in Decor Park, and actually, at least I saw one resident from Decor Park North, they're pretty annoyed with Lombardo, I'm just gonna say it, for their vacant lots and their management of the vacant lots. The grass is 3 feet tall, 4 feet, 5 feet tall. What they've done, and our code enforcement did reach out to them multiple times. I know Trustee Meisen, wearing his other hat as the HOA president, reached out to them multiple times. They only just recently got to them within the last week or so. Just this morning. And they still got to them today. But it appears that in most circumstances, unless it's a small piece of property with houses on either side, it appears in most instances, they're only cutting 8 or 10 feet from the street or from the sidewalk, if that's the case. And meanwhile, residents on both sides have, 4 or 5 feet tall grass. So Lombardo must think that it's okay just to cut that and then leave, 4 foot, 5 foot tall vegetation in various lots. And I'm surprised that they're doing it because in Decor Park North, they're trying to, that's where people have to go. They have their model home or whatever, the entrance to Gresham. Then from there, they have to drive through that subdivision to get to the lots that they're actually selling into Cora Park. I'm surprised that they're even doing this because they're shooting themselves in the foot. It looks bad, it looks horrible. And multiple residents have actually said that they've seen rodents going into these, even the ones that are already cut within 8 to 10 feet. So even on the lots that still, have been cut, at least to Lombardo standards, there's still rodents that are being harbored in there. And we have two ordinances on the books. Ordinance number 338, we just passed that in December of last year. That's the International Property Maintenance Code of 2015. That addresses section 302-4, weeds. All premises and exterior property shall be maintained free from weeds with plant growth in excess of 6 inches. All noxious weeds shall be prohibited. Weeds shall be defined as all grasses, annual plants, vegetation, blah, 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 blah. So, and that's the standard that we're holding all of our other, and there's another ordinance 326 is our nuisance ordinance, and there's various sections in there. One is the essentially interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life and property or tends to depreciate the value of properties and others. And another one that's pretty applicable toward it is any condition which provides the harborage of rats, mice, snakes, and other vermin. And again, people have already borne witness to the fact that these roads are still, even in the properties that are already cut by Lombardo. So we need to hold them accountable to the same standards that we hold our regular residents accountable. If somebody with the property on either side of them has 4 foot tall grass, we can bet that our blight officer, our code enforcement officer is going to take action on them.
I think where the difference is, and we're going to have to look in the mirror. And I say that because typically, and we were going over the ordinance today, just trying to see what it said. And, do we apply these ordinances to single lots? Or do we apply these ordinances to 47 acres? And typically, at least historically, we require large parcels to be cut back 10, 20, 30 feet, and that's it. Okay. Even us, the owners of that 47 acres adjacent to Amherst, that's all we do. So, right here on Main Street, the company up the road here, we require them to cut back 20, 30 feet. We don't require them to cut 200 acres that services nothing but wildlife. Okay. So, and one of the things that we were going to talk about later from the call from the table was, do we want to put a very specific distance in the ordinance? Because when we start applying this, then we got to apply it to ourselves. Okay? And so we need to ante up some money to cut that 47 acres every other week.
Right. So, and to your addressing of that, I agree that, and that's not bad, 20 to 30 feet, that's reasonable. But they've cut, it looks like they're
required to cut what would be considered an easement.
Are they? Because again, ordinance number 338 says 6 inches, period. It doesn't specify that, at least not what I believe.
That's typically what is done. Even in my subdivision, the owner of the property out there, he has a company come in and they cut, I'm going to say what would be the easement. So it's about 10 feet. Okay, and they keep it cut, but that's all they cut. Okay, so I guess we need to, maybe have this conversation. What do we want to be required? If it's a lot in between 2 existing houses, yeah, maybe you want to cut that, keep that cut.
And there was one,
okay. But for that other, say in north, where there's that, I don't know how many acres it is, that's wide open.
I hear you on that, but again, it's like 8 feet. You're driving through and you're like, wow, this looks. And again, I don't know why they don't want to do it themselves. They're trying to sell houses and you're driving past this.
In the past, though.
Yeah, and they have. Last year, 2 years ago, we got on. I literally spent weeks figuring out parcel by parcel. Yeah.
Being pulled by a big farm.
But this year, they're basically sticking their nose up at us again. And it took literally until, like I said, just a week ago or so, within the last week, for them to even get what they did get done. So, whatever the case may be, I think we got to.
Before we go down the ordinance
communicate with them strongly.
Can we just invite Greg to the next meeting?
And I had a conversation, I talked to him today.
I mean, I can't imagine that he would say no, and then he could come here and we could talk to him about our issues, but we'd also learn about how many lots they've sold, because I see a lot on Facebook where people are just guessing, right? I mean, Facebook it's wonderful when you can hide behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
So,
How many what?
like how much lots have been sold.
Oh, I know the-
People are saying there hasn't been any lots sold.
Well, I know the actual number, but I won't share them. I'll let Greg share them.
But that's my point, is like, maybe he can talk about where he's at, where they're at in the process, what the goal is. We would never have him, other than prior, I think it was last year. But because they're such a big stakeholder in the community, based on the fact that they have a lot of money at stake in this community, that it might be a good idea to have them here on an annual, if not every 6 month, opportunity, so that we can ask them questions, they can ask us questions. And we can't compel them, but I think it's a good neighborly collaboration if we ask them, hey, can you come here? We've got some concerns we want to talk to you about, but we'd also like to hear what Lombardo's doing, and how can we help them?
I would agree with that. I mean, I've been emailing Greg since June 6th, I think it was, the beginning of June, asking for the Decor Park and Decor Park North to be mowed with no response. So I think it needs to be taken to the village level at this point.
And there's no identity to email. There's no collaboration to email in that sense. There's a face-to-face conversation that we should probably have. So can you?
Well, even phone calls though, I mean, phone calls, and I've learned voicemail after voicemail. They're not easy. They're not, in my mind, my perspective, they're not very cooperative toward fair communication with.
He took my call today.
Us at the village. I've left multiple voicemail numbers. I call back until it was about a different topic.
But we will extend an invitation to him for next meeting. Item E.
The striping. So, actually, piggybacking off of this topic, so Lombardo is trying to sell all these lots. So actually, I think at this time, and like you were saying, how can we help? I think this might be one way we can help. Two areas of my concern that I think we should consider restriping. I know MDOT does Gratiot, but leading up to the intersection, we might actually just need to communicate with them. It might be MDOT's responsibility. Do they do like Clark Street, how it intersects with Gratiot?
They do.
So maybe we can talk to them, maybe they already have plans anyway, but and again, this isn't an action item, I know this is for consideration. Yeah, freshen it up, kind of, I mean, when you're a prospective home buyer and you see nice new fresh paint, it says something, and again,
I was on
But the other area of concern, so that would be one intersection, the intersection of 27 and Gratiot, because that's, you turn there to get down over to Pembroke, the chorus right there. That's a
So at
good.
that point, weren't you the one in contact with them about the striping?
Like 3 years ago, yeah, I still have that, and I can pass that to him, the contact. There was only one company that I was able to get a hold of, but in any case, that, and then the other area of concern that I'm wondering, I think it'd be a good opportunity to, especially if we're going to pay to stripe any other area, why don't we add parallel parking spots? I touched on this like a year ago. At the time, we were going into winter or something. We were entering the construction phase on Main Street, but that's done now. I wonder, why don't we add some parallel parking space on either side or just one side next to the fountain? I think it would add the appearance of, first it would freshen it up, you see some paint, but it would kind of invite people like, hey, why don't you spend some time here? We got a nice fountain, you got some benches here. It adds more of a downtown feel. We always talk about reviving a downtown or something like that, and I think that would be an appropriate place. I have parked my car there and gotten out and watched traffic go by. And of course, we might want to check with DPW and or whoever the authoritative figure would be, but just to make sure engineering-wise, actually our engineer to see if it's wide enough. And I believe it is. I parked my car there, got out, no problem. But I think we should consider adding some parallel parking spaces on that stretch, just to kind of give that downtown feel.
And as far as getting Main Street restriped, we won't do that until after they're done on Main Street.
Right.
Yeah, but
Maybe we can incorporate into once
even that
that
needs
is
to be
all.
redone.
Yeah. So it's just for consideration.
We'll keep that on the radar, and hopefully when the construction is done, the weather still permits. In that.
So, although I know Trustee Foley has been designated the liaison of MDOT, I did at the encouragement of trustee Vanderkoof, reach out to MDOT and just ask for an update regarding some complaints that we've been fielding regarding the intersections of Gratiot and New Haven Road and New Haven Road and 26 Mile. Received the response actually this morning and had a nice lengthy phone call with one of the individuals at MDOT. Within the past 48 hours, Lansing has approved the work order for MDOT to install traffic monitoring sensors at the intersection of New Haven and Gratiot, so that the length of the signal will be dependent on the amount of traffic flowing through the intersection. So if one side is, completely void of traffic, their light will be shorter than the one that has the most traffic. So that's step number one. They also did approve funding for adding an actual turn signal light. If the traffic monitoring does not do enough to improve the traffic situation, then they'll be adding a traffic light as well, or a left turn light as well. And then in regards to that, 26 Mile in New Haven, with the odd skew, it's not a 90-degree angled intersection. They have not gotten as far with funding or requests in regards to that intersection, although they have been receiving a lot of complaints. They are aware that there are a lot of issues with that intersection, close calls, near crashes. They haven't gotten the funding for that yet, but they're hoping that the improvements that they're making at New Haven Road and Gratiot will alleviate some of the traffic congestion at 26 Mile in New Haven. So just wanted to give an update. This is something that they said, with the work order just being approved, this is something that we'll see the work being done at the intersection of Gratiot and New Haven. Could be next week, could be sometime before September. So we'll see them out there making the improvement at that intersection. It'll be a little disc-shaped sensor that you see up in the top by the traffic light, sets off the radar detectors and all that. So we'll see that shortly, and then hopefully they will be soliciting us. I'll forward them over to Trustee Pergoli as the new MDOT liaison. They'll be asking for feedback to see how the traffic monitoring goes, and they were very, very sincere that they appreciate the feedback and they actually encourage it. They want a lot of feedback on traffic conditions, and they take that very seriously to where they allocate the resources. So just wanted to give an update.
Should have been done when they did the intersection.
Yes.
Yep. And on that note, what's the timing on the left turn lane? Have we heard?
It's supposed to be before, yeah, so what I heard was August.
Okay.
That was 4 months ago at that meeting.
Okay.
And I did follow up like a couple weeks thereafter, and that's what I was told
August?
that time. That was like 3 or 4 months ago, so if it got, maybe you could bring an update to us.
No, preliminary, they said they were gonna do it right after Rocket Fest, they didn't want to start before.
Well, maybe it was one.
Because that's what they brought up at the meeting, was they didn't want to have construction during Rocket Fest, so they postponed it after that.
Maybe I just, in my head, thought, okay, the month. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Rocket Fest is next week, August
Sounds good.
is 3 weeks away.
It's kind of, I don't want to, that I wish I had a remote to turn that. I don't want to throw any darts out there, but it seems a little odd that, we had brought up the left turn signal more than once, and they downplayed it, and suddenly there's money available. So then I read an article that says that any leftover MDOT money is being put toward the sinkhole.
Well, I think the serious accident that happened a couple months ago,
Well, there's been
that was
multiple-
a few months before that.
And for the last 40 years, there's been multiple at 26 New Haven Road, but I was involved in one of them. Only accident I ever had in my life was at that intersection out there.
And the way that the traffic safety engineer explained it to me was that they have kind of the hoops that they have to go through is they, kind of step number one is that traffic flow monitor sensor to try to alleviate. Then if that doesn't work, then they go to the left turn lanes.
Okay. Oh, who controls the flashing light at 27 and flashing? Is that MDOT or the
Finding that out.
Is that MDOT or the county? Or are they going to wait for the third person to get killed?
Wait, which intersection was it?
27 and flashing.
I would imagine that should be.
It's
that should
always
be-
flashing.
That should be on that. That should be on that.
I happened
Another
to
resident
come
did-
through there one Sunday morning,
At like 10 o'clock, it's still flashing?
it's still flashing.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there for,
A long time.
I've never seen such, an-
10 minutes.
okay, anyway. I don't want to put it on.
And the way it's angled, there's people in the parking lot, you
Yeah.
can't see around it, so it's
Yeah.
all crashing.
Call from the floor.
Closed session.
Are we going, well, let's go call from the floor first. Call from the floor. Seeing none? Can I get a motion that we go into closed session?
We need to mention the purpose.
Yes, for legal update.
Litigation.
I make a motion to go into closed session for an update and to discuss ongoing litigation and potential new,
Yeah.
potential new litigation. Supported.
Beth,
Probably move and support it.
will you have any further business after you come back,
No.
before you conclude? Okay, so if you would just state that there will be no further action taken after you come back from closed
Well,
session?
there may be
I can
further
close
action
you off.
once we come out of,
All right,
yeah, there may be action once we come out of there.
all right.
Yeah. Okay, where am
All those in motion, was it supported?
I? Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. A motion to return to open session.
I make a motion to return to open session. Support.
Probably moved and supported to return to open session. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Can we get a motion?
I make a motion to act as directed, to act as, to proceed as directed on issues discussed during closed session.
Second.
Been properly moved and supported that the attorneys are to proceed as directed. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Call from the table.
I don't want to keep us, but I have a quick question. When you can't burn or have a fire on Sundays?
No,
No.
Do we know what the premise was of that?
the ordinance.
Yeah, the ordinance.
Yeah,
But do we know why it was, like, Sunday seems like the day that you might want to actually, like, have a bonfire? Especially in summer, like a Saturday or Sunday, but it's like, you can't have a bonfire on Sundays?
I don't know, bonfire, I think it's open burning.
Open burn.
That's a bonfire.
Well, yeah. That's a bonfire.
Yeah, it is.
But if it's a neighborhood, it is open burning? I mean, you're just getting, I think it's for the people burning their leaves, just on the grass.
Yeah, I think that's what it was directed at, people like that. Yeah, but
Then we may need to clarify.
like the little burn pits that you may have on your patio.
Yeah, that's it, yeah, like a fire pit. Maybe we have a fire pit, can you not have a fire on Sundays?
No, you can, I think that kind of fire you can have. but
Yeah, I think it's the
more for
burning of
burning
trees.
leaves and stuff like that.
Okay. All right.
I think the verbiage is open burn.
You can laundry outside on Sunday people.
But I took open burn as like,
Yeah.
if it's not in like.
But
Yeah, and I think open burn is discard
Burning leaves.
burning leaves and twigs and stuff from your yard.
Yeah, I think that may be one of the things that we may need to tighten in the ordinance.
Yeah.
It'd be very specific.
Yeah. All right, I'm done.
Call from the table.
Rocket Fest?
Rocket Fest, don't forget about Rocket Fest this weekend, this Saturday. And the fireworks Saturday night.
At the high school.
There's something else going on too.
Concert on Friday.
Slow roll is,
There's two, I think, right?
my one is.
Thursday?
16th? No, not 16th.
Next Thursday? I think they're on Thursday.
20-something, I think it was the 20-something of July.
And concert in the park Friday.
every Friday in July.
Did last Friday happen without those thunderstorms?
It did.
It did?
The sun came out about 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we were gonna head up there and I'm like.
I'm glad it didn't start this
no.
up. The sun came out about 6:30 and Marcus showed up with a couple squeegees to clean the stage off and a leaf blower to dry it up. And they probably got it started about 20, 30 minutes late. But it,
Yeah, I was gonna head up and I'm like,
oh, yeah. A motion in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Good night.
This is